Hello everyone and welcome to Scalextric with Tony. Today I'm going to convert a Scalextric Shelby Cobra to digital using the standard retrofit chip, the C7005, as the Shelbys aren't DPR, they're not digital plug ready, and so you need to use the retrofit chip. I've had a quick look at it and it's not going to be an easy job, potentially. It's just the location of the chip that's the problem. But I've had a quick look and I think I can probably get it done. So here's a short video of how I've done it. This is the set I'm going to convert. It's the limited edition Legends Targa Florio set, and I'm going to use the standard retrofit chip, as I said, the C7055. Now, I've already had a look at the car itself. Here is the car, and I've taken the screws out of the chassis, the 3 screws, 1 at the back and the 2 at the front. Just remove those, and taking the body off is a little bit tight. You have to give it a bit of a wiggle and gentle removal just to help remove the body from the chassis. There's the inside of the car itself, the body, which we'll come to in just a moment, and the inside of the car looks like this, the front being this end here, and you can see the motor is in the front position, forward position, so there's not really a lot of space there for the chip to fit. Also the LED is going to be tight, so I'd need to remove the motor to get the LED in, to drill a hole in, and looking for a position for the chip to fit. Now, going back to the body, the only place I can see that would be suitable is to fit the chip in the base or in the side pods of the top of the body, and I've just shoved it in between the body and the cockpit. Don't know if you can see that very well, and that's probably going to be the best position I can place it in, looking at where I'm going to go. The only issue is obviously the diode at the top here potentially is going to rub against the motor, so I will need to obviously insulate that against the motor so that it doesn't cause a short. Okay, so I've decided where I'm going to place the chip, and so let's get on with it. And first of all, I need to remove the guide blade wires, and there's a screw in there which holds the guide plate in place. Just removing that. That just pops out, and then that will release the guide. Oh, I should have taken the guide plate off first. So just put that to one side, and you can see the metal pressings. Remove those just by sliding them to one side. Obviously, can't see what I'm doing with my fingers in the way, but that releases the guide plate. Again, just put that to one side for now, along with the little screw, and pull the wires through. Just carefully keep those out of the way. Obviously the red and black wires there are going to the LEDs at the front, and you've got the wires going back to the LED at the back. They can stay in place, no need to touch those at the moment. The next thing I want to do is remove the motor, because I want to drill the hole in for the LEDs to go in first of all. So I'm just going to use a flat blade screwdriver just to try and lever out the motor, just being a little bit careful not to break the mounts. There we go, and let's just pop that out of there. Oh, and also the pinion on the back there, just holding it in place, so just remove that. So you can see there the motor is removed, still attached to the wires at the moment for the LEDs, but that's fine. Now the next thing I need to do is find a space to put the hole in for the LED. Obviously it needs to be as close to the guide as possible, but away from the motor mount, so I'll have to just try and fit somewhere in the middle there. So if you just bear with me a moment, I shall drill that in. So again, just trying to be as central as possible. Let's go in there. I've got a 3mm drill. And you can see now there's a 3mm hole there which the LED will fit in. Just give that a bit of a tidy up, take off some of the rough edges on there, shouldn't be too much of an issue. And with the LED, that's the LED from the chip, just to check that it goes through okay. And there you can see, oops, just move the motor out of the way, sorry. There you can see the LED in position. I'll take it out for now because obviously it doesn't need to be there just yet, and it will get glued in at some point during the process. So I'll just pull it out of the way. So for the moment I'll put the motor back just loosely in place because I'm going to need to wire the chip to the motor wires. Just put that back into place there. And I'll turn the soldering iron on so it gets nice and warm. Now the wires aren't very long on the chip, and so to give me as much space as I can, I'm going just to cut. I want to keep the ferrite man in place. Although there's one on the chip at the motor end, I want to keep the other one on as well, just for double protection against any sort of surges. So I'm going to cut the metal pressings off of these wires here that are attached to the motor. And again, I must stress I'm not actually an electrician qualified of any sort, so I am a bit ham-fisted with all of this. So I'll just cut the pressings off. I can throw those away and just trim the cable a little bit, so I've got some fresh wire on there. You only need to take a small amount off, and there you can see some bare wire ready to connect the motor wires to. So that's the motor wires, the red and black motor wire, chip wire, that just need to be connected to the motor. Now I can never work out which way these go, which goes to which end, so it's all a bit of a gamble. Like I say, I'm not an electrician, and so I don't really know which way they go. So I shall fit them and then test it with a battery just to make sure it works. Now I've got my flux, this is old stuff here, and I just dab the wires in the end just to give it a bit of coating to help the soldering process. And I'll just dab a little bit on the wires on the chip as well. You don't need much, just needs a little bit of a dab just to help with that. And like I say, I'm not a professional solderer or electrician, so this is all learnt through trial and error. So if I'm not very good at this and you can show me better ways of doing it, please do leave comments. But oops, this isn't easy. I want to try and do it on video so that you can actually see what I'm doing, and I'm not the best at this. So again, I'm just going to tin the end of each wire, just a little dab on each end. Oops. Again, not the easiest of little jobs because they're very small wires. need to get enough solder on it to obviously make a connection. I'm just having a little bit of trouble getting that to stick to that wire, but got there in the end. Let's try and get that flat so it stays there. Again, I'm not doing a very good a job of this soldering bit at the moment, making a bit of a mess. Let me just give it a bit more flux on there just to help it flow, because it's not flowing very well on that. So let's just have another go. Okay, so got a bit of solder on each end of those wires. Now again, like I said, I don't know which way these go, so I'm going to just try red to green first of all. Let me just turn that the other way around. Okay, red to green first. Just see if I can get those to heat up together and stick together. It doesn't want to go. So just coming back to solder these wires again together. Let's spread that out a bit, give me a bit more space so I don't melt everything together. So there we have it. Not the prettiest of jobs, I think you can see that. Wires drawn together. I don't know if you can see that because I'm blind to the camera. But the two cables soldered together. Now, just to give this a bit of a test, I've got, oh actually that's not going to work, is it? 'Cause I need to put the motor in there. So let me just push the motor back in place. Make sure the motor's connected. And I'll just connect these to a 9-volt battery just to see if it goes in the right direction, which it does. So that just shot forward, as you see. Lights are working and it's going in the right direction. So that was a successful soldering exercise. So just bear with me a moment, I shall come back in a moment. So I've now used a bit of insulation tape just to cover the joins on the two wires. Just wrapped it a bit around just to protect it from there. So that's all good now. And next job for me is just to feed the wires through for the guide blade. So just pushing them through the hole where the guide blade goes. Push those in, and then connect those up to the guide plate itself, the guide blade itself. Just make sure you get it in the right direction. And I think it's yellow to left. I always find this really difficult because I've got such ham-fisted. Let's make sure it's the right way around. So I'm not very good at this bit. So give me a moment, I shall come back to this in just a bit. That's going to go in there. It's not going to go in there easily, is it? No, hang on a moment. Okay, so I've now fed the guide blade wires up through the chassis, screwed the small screw back in so the guide blade is back in place. And I've also super glued the LED in front of the motor in the 3mm hole I drilled earlier. And now it's just a case of replacing the motor back in place. So just get that into position and snap it in and make sure that the pinion and guide is in there as well, and that's looking good. So again, I'll just do a quick test with a 9-volt battery. So just come back to me in a sec. So motor's back in position. I'm just going to test it now with a battery against the braids, just to make sure the wheels are rotating in the right direction. You won't be able to see this on the video, I don't suppose, but just battery on there, and those are turning in the right direction, so I'm happy with that. And the next thing is to try and get the battery, get the chip in the body, which again, it's not going to be the easiest things to see. Just trying to place it in tight in there. I think probably the best thing to do is to try and get this in place and secure it, and also the wires as well. So if you bear with me a second, I'll have a fiddle with this and I'll come back to you in a moment. Right, so putting it back together again was really tricky, trying to get the wires in place. I had to put them down the side of the motor whilst trying to get the chip in place and get it all screwed together. Wasn't an easy job at all. Took lots of fiddling to get it to work, but I've got it back together again. I've just tested it with a battery and that works. So onto the track now and see if it works on track. Right, here we have the Scalextric Cobra chip to run on digital now. I'll just do a quick run on this corner because I'm having trouble with the layout, with the continuity at the moment. Just needs a good clean. So I'll just show you it doing a lane change over in this far corner. But here we go, round the track and straight on at the junction there, as you can see. And if I just bring it back to the start again, and this time going round with a lane change there, you see it just on a lane change, now in the outside lane. So again, just quickly going round and straight on, and just coming back once again, coming around, and a lane change there. So there we have the Scalextric Shelby Cobra, now chipped to run on digital using the retrofit chip C7005 fitted. Not an easy job by any stretch of imagination. Putting it back together was the hardest bit, but it works, and all I need to do now is get my track in good condition so I can play with the cars fully. Hope you have a good time converting yours, and good luck.